switch the song to talk about it. Obviously, we're gonna start with the first song, which is Overcompensate. Now, I'm gonna zoom in because I don't have my glasses on. And the reason I don't wear my glasses is because, like, the light just reflects. And it looks stupid, and you can just see how dirty my glasses are. So I don't wear my glasses. And no, I don't like contacts. I hate contacts. Who the fuck is Palmini? Never mind. Okay. So, obviously, I can't play the music. I wish I could. So, the intro of Overcompensate. Overcompensate is the first song. It was released a while ago. February 29th. I don't know why I did not think it was out. Wait, February 22nd. I didn't realize it was that long. I don't know why, but I'm oddly struggling to, like, with my breath control right now. And I don't know why. Anyway, so you have the intro, which I think is German, if I'm not mistaken. Well, it's German, Spanish, right? Esta pequeña isla. I think it's a bunch of different languages. Ambos creemos que podemos usarla para cambiar el pozo de costa. I don't know what it says. I may be Mexican, but I don't know Spanish. I'm sorry, Zuby. So the first lyrics are "Welcome back to Trench." Now, if you know the 21 Pilots lore, it's crazy because this album was supposed to kind of signify like a not like a revolution, but like kind of the beginning to an end, basically. And Trench was the last album, and it's kind of about fighting back and or then succumbing to your demons and stuff. I would say it's more about fighting back. It's amazing. That's all I can say. And so, where it says, I created this world to feel some control, destroy it if I want, so I sing Salo Felina. Now, this song was, or like that chunk was in Leave the City from Trench, their last album. It's basically him saying he's in control of his own universe. I mean, obviously you can look right here, like my mouth just made a duck noise. Obviously you can look at it yourself and look at the professionals, but I'm just gonna talk about it. So, Sala Felina means something. It's kind of like is call, I guess. Now, I'm not an expert in the 21 Pilots lore. Okay, everything just cut off randomly, but whatever, and we continue. So yeah, I mean, obviously it explains. Get out of my face. What the fuck? Go back here. Oh. Salo Felino, obviously. You can read right here. People say Salo Felino is the like he's on the run, obviously dead or alive, from the bishop. Um, this whole song is just beautiful if you get a chance to listen to it. I don't want to go in too deep about it because it's more about lore, and explaining lore gets really hard if you don't know. Even I sometimes am like, okay, that's a lot of lore, but it's amazing a storyline that a group can actually make a storyline and connect it with a bunch of people and have it actually mean something. So not only is it a story, but it's kind of like a moral thing. So it's about fighting back against your demons and succumbing to your demons and, you know, mental health and everything. I recommend looking into it. This song is good. I will say most of it is the intro. So like this part right here, this part takes a while, a good minute of it probably, but it's okay. So yeah, I don't want to go into much of this song because it's mainly lore. It's not my favorite, but it's not the worst one. So yeah. Where's the next song? Pause. Okay, so next semester is the second song on the album. It's a bit short. Now, this song is definitely one of my favorites because it's basically about failing in school because you're so depressed and you're so anxious and school just makes it worse and you know you're just everything's running through your head. Now, as someone who was a fan of Toy Pilots back in middle school and then high school and now college, this hits to my core because in high school I was very studious academic. I didn't have a choice. I graduated cum laude, which is not everything, but it's something, you know. And I would feel myself like I had breakdowns and I hated my life because it was just study, study, study. And so it's kind of about you failing and then just being able to try again. Now, while a college student, I resonate with this a lot more because I'm not the best at academics. My transcript isn't beautiful, and I'm not the kind of person to be like, I gotta be, oh my god, I gotta be. No, it's like, I failed a class, and I have some D's because college is about learning. So when this song came out, I'm gonna get vulnerable for a second. When this song came out, if it came out like in the end of last year, this song probably, it would have hit different, so last semester, I mean, like in the winter, the fall semester, I had a really bad fall semester. I was depressed. I was in bed every day, and I don't know why. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I suffer from depression, like, just comes and goes. And I generally thought I wasn't gonna make it. Like, there were times where I would just sit in my room, in my dorm, planning it, and I have it all written down in a journal somewhere. I was so depressed. And so hearing this song about wanting to, and trying to, you know. So if we go to the lyrics, you know, stand up straight now, can't break down, graduate now. Obviously these three are about you're too busy to even process your emotions or to have a mental health day. You're so focused on wanting to graduate and get ready to go. I don't want to be here, I don't want to be here. It's, you know, you're so focused on your academics that, and you failed and you just want to die. Can you die of anxiousness? I don't want to be here. What's about to happen? I think these lyrics, you know, they're definitely really interesting. Can you die of anxiousness? I've definitely felt this. I suffer from anxiety too, so bad that I wake up in the middle of the night with panic attacks. I have like extreme like lower back pain from my anxiety. Now I don't get panic attacks where I'm like, you know, I get like, I call them like a silent killer attacks where my muscles tense and my heart beats really fast, and I'm like, but I'm not like, you know, I think it's a very different, a different version of it. I am able to, I don't want to say compartmentalize because that sounds a word, but I'm able to like really just hide it, I guess. But yeah, in college my anxiety was so bad I'd wake up in the middle of the night with that feeling of being stabbed in your chest, and it was anxiety. and I obviously I know about this. You kind of remember little things that made the night the night. So Tyler Joseph, the writer, the artist, the main singer, he remembered when he was talking about his attempt, or the night that he really wanted to attempt. He remembered like the clothes that he was wearing, him walking in the street, and then prayed those lights would take me home. So, wait, what's wrong with my mic? What the fuck? 21 Pilots has, well, Tyler Joseph specifically has a lot of religious undertones in his songs. If you look at his older music, especially, so in my opinion, when he talks about home, he's talking about heaven and being with God and everything. I was raised Catholic, so I can sense religious undertones really fast. But I prayed those lights would take me home. This is the feeling of being opening a car, hits you and kills you, and takes you back to Jesus or God. If you're religious, it's kind of hits you a little bit. And then I heard, "Hey kid, get out of the road." To me, that line is about someone saving you or pulling out of that moment. So there definitely have been times where I would be at night, just you're at that moment where you're like, kill me, just I want to die, I want to die, I want to die. And then you get a text or a song comes on, or someone comes home and you get pulled out of that moment. And I think that's his version of, "Hey kid, get out the road, someone is there to save him." So, or it was a little person, but that's how I interpret it. I don't want to be here, I don't want to be here. Obviously it makes sense. Like, you don't want to live when you failed, or if you're not used to failing and you failed, and especially with academics, you have so much writing on it. So can't feel my legs, I might suffocate. There's a pressure in my chest, I don't want to be here, what's about to happen? This is an obvious brain panic attack. It's very textbook panic attack when you feel like you're like you are just struggling to breathe. There's a pressure in my chest. Obviously that's the tightness in the heart and the chest. And obviously I used all those suicidal undertones. I don't want to undertones, but they're really there. I don't want to be here, And it's the same chorus again. I remember everything about that night. So yeah, I guess like just this chorus specifically just speaks to me so much, because there's been multiple times I'll be sitting in my room, in my dorm room, like just thinking about what would happen if I died that night, or something like that, So, and you remember what made you think that, what you wrote down, how you would do it. Like, I don't know, if you haven't been through it, then it's kind of hard to understand. Or if you're an empath, it's easier for you to understand. But yeah, it's really hits if you've been in this area and you can understand how Tyler was feeling at the time. That's why I love him. He's so honest in his music, and he's open about his experiences and everything. And then this part right here is really good. Can't change what you've done. Start fresh next semester. So I love this part too, because it make it like, that's kind of the realization I had last semester, where I was like, there is nothing I can do. It is over. I just have to try again, and keep going. I think it's part of that message of fighting back and keep pushing. You'll see in another song. Pushing on through is a very common message in his songs, where he knows his audience or himself is struggling with keeping going and wanting to live or trying to do a task, and so pushing on through is just like, being able to fight, basically. And then it's the same chorus again. Yeah, it's basically the same thing. But yeah, this song is just beautiful in every way. It has like, it's at the start, it's like dun 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 dun, or it's like dun 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 dun, and then it's like stand up straight now, dun dun dun, can't break down, do do do, graduate it's you know, so it's very upbeat, and then it goes, I remember certain things, what I was wearing, and then it gets slower, and then it's, can't feel my legs, might suffocate, and it's like up and down, and that's kind of why I like it. It's that wave of when you're depressed and suicidal, up and down, in my opinion. It's an amazing song. Anyways, I'll be emo next song. Okay, so track 3 on Clancy is Backslide. It is kind of like Next Semester, where it's about a cycle, a relapse, and struggling with depression and suicide and mental health. So, trigger warning, I guess there's a say maybe. So, rat race, place to place, adding weight, tendencies, RP, benefit from a shoe with lilies, take a seat with the grease in it. I guess the way, so obviously there's like the meaning, and then there's kind of the interpretation. I like Tyler because he lets you kind of interpret it kind of how you want. Sometimes he doesn't really like giving a clear meaning to his songs because it's about the interpretation. So, like obviously you can so go to the genius stuff, but like I kind of interpret this to like kind of no matter where you go, no matter how hard you fight, tendencies on repeat, you kind of do the same thing over and over again. And this is very common if you struggle with addiction. I'm sorry, I'm shaking my legs, it's a habit. If you struggle with addiction, any form of addiction, or just, I guess, self-sabotaging behavior, if you know, you know. So it's like, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, everything just kind of gets on your shoulders again because you're repeating the same cycle, so it feels worse every single time that you do it. Benefit from a shoe with no lace, take a seat with the grease in it. So benefit from a shoe with no lace, I interpret that as like when you go to the mental hospital and they take your laces because they don't want you to, sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but you know what I mean. And then take a seat with the grease in it. In my opinion, that's like, the C with the grease on it is you doing the same behavior over and over and over again. Like that C has gotten so accustomed to your butt that it's molded because you're there all the time, 24/7. I don't mind if it's lonely, I don't mind if it's fair, I don't care. You control me, leading me anywhere. To me, like that's you talking to your mind. So if you struggle with mental health, you kind of get this. You like sometimes there's such bad cycles where you feel like you have absolutely no control in what happens. If you like struggle with like bipolar depression or just depression in general, when it comes and goes, I just like you just want to like give up and you just like you don't care, like it's gonna happen, I guess. So that's kind of how I interpret it. So the chorus is obviously like very heavy. What the fuck? Oh, let me get rid of this. So I don't want to backslide where I started from. There's no chance I will shake this again. Obviously a backslide is like a relapse. So obviously you start with nothing and you go and then something happens and you go back and you go back and you go back. And it's kind of like every time you relapse, you feel like you'll never make progress, or you feel like you're just gonna be stuck there. So, because I feel the pool, water's over my hand, strengthen up for one more time. Reach my hand above the tide, constantly having an episode, or you don't want to go out at night, or anything really. So I take this like I should have left you better. You have that feeling of regret, like you feel like you've just kind of rotted, I guess is the term nowadays, so much that you never put effort, which obviously you have, but you don't think so, that you put effort into your relationship. Do you think now is the time you should let go? You have this doubt where you're like, you're better off without me, and I think every person with mental health issues has said that word, you're better off without me, I don't want to be a burden, you know, and then it's over my head. It's kind of like giving up in a way. Bad place on a $100 base, kind of wishing that I never did Saturday. That's obviously a reference to like the album they released a couple years ago that didn't do really good because it was more pop and people didn't like that it wasn't the sound that they were used to, which, excuse me, it's not my favorite album either, but I'll never hate on it. I'll never be like, I'm not claiming that album, it's not my album. Like, there's good songs on the album, so, but he kind of regrets it because he feels like his true fans don't like the album, so that's 21 Pilots lore. I don't know why I'm struggling with whispering today. I like this chunk. Are you doing good? Did you solve all your problems? So, this is about you, I guess, kind of like you trying to identify why you are the way you are. So a lot of this happens in therapy. So, like when I was trying to figure out my OCD, why did I have OCD? Me and my therapist, you comb through your life basically about every event in which had an effect on you, I guess. And when doing that, sometimes you realize you have other issues because of one day or one catastrophic event, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like self-realization and not liking it in a way. What happened to what I brushed under the rug? Obviously, bottling up your emotions. I used to be the champion of a world you can't see. Now I'm drowning in logistics. So I take that as like a champion of a world you can't see. Your like depressed side when you put on that mask of like being happy and cheerful. It's something like that. The world you can't see it because you're not letting anyone else see that. Like it's only for you. Now I'm trying logistics. I'm trying the hows and the whys and the everything about why you are the way you are, why you act the way you do, basically. And then obviously it's the backslide for, you're regretting everything, you're rethinking everything, you're, thinking everyone's a burden. And obviously controlling and leading me anywhere at that part. I think this chorus is so beautiful because it's like, I'll take anything you have if you could throw me a line. It's like, I yell it always because I feel like it's one last desperate attempt for help. It's desperate is the only way I can put this out there. You have to listen to the song. But it's just an act of desperation in my opinion. I don't want to backslide. Obviously it's the last thing. You don't want to go back to how it was, how everything was, because it's just so draining, it's just so tired, and every time you restart you feel like shit basically. I'm like so passionate that I stopped whispering. This song is beautiful if you struggle with addiction or self-sabotaging behavior or just any mental health. I think it resonates with you in a different way. So the fourth track on Clancy is Midwest Indigo. This song is about living in the Midwest and like the kind of depression that it comes with, like the seasonal depression, and now there's not a lot there. Now I'm not from the Midwest, but I go to school in the Midwest, so I kind of understand it. Like that culture, to me it's a culture shock that I had to deal with, so kind of get more into it. I feel like for me, I interpret this as like the Midwest, especially in the winter, makes you, it's like dark 24/7 basically. And because of that, you, especially if you struggle with like seasonal depression, you feel like everything is going wrong. You feel at your lowest. And so me, it's like sad and second guessing myself. You wonder, why am I here? What is my purpose? Like why do I do to deserve here? If that makes sense. That's how I interpret it. You can be so cold. Obviously the Midwest is known for their harsh winter temperatures. Midwest indigo. He explains it later about why it's called indigo. Running late, so I didn't have the time to scrape the frosted windshield like we're barely scraping by. Concentrate on the little gap in the ice that it seems to be as wide as our chances. So obviously, if you live in the colder weather, you know that you have to, like, your window shield gets frosted, and you have to scrape it or warm it up before you can drive, because it's illegal and you won't be able to see. And like, if you're running late, obviously you don't have time to do all this. It takes so long. So it's kind of him talking about his survival in the Midwest and how that depression really gets to him. Did you pull up yet? Did you ever get work tied on time? Not this part. I'm not 100% sure about. Let me read this part. I don't know. I'm not sure how I interpret it. It to me it's kind of like, I don't know. I actually don't know how to interpret it. I think it's cute. Did you pull up yet? Not yet. Did you forget we're tied on time? Like, I don't know, just the way he says it. Obviously it's the chorus again. Cloud coverage matched my outfit to a knife. I requested with the counselor, and he canceled twice. It's a different blue. It's deeper than it's been. I'll be putting into the parking lot before the heat kicks in. So for me, like, obviously it's gloomy, or at least where I would go to school. The winters are really cloudy and gloomy, and it's like a dark blue cloud or a gray. So I'm assuming he's wearing a dark colored outfit that kind of matches with the sun. I requested counsel with the counselor and he canceled twice. To me, that's just I interpret that as it's so fucking hard to find a therapist nowadays that's affordable and actually does their fucking job. Anyways, maybe it's something different. Hold on, what does this person say it is? I don't know. Anyways, it's a different blue. It's deeper than it's been. I'll be pulling up before the heat kicks in. So if you guys don't know what indigo looks like, oh my god, I forgot he made this album. Or this song. It's a good album, you should listen to it. Hold on, I didn't mean to do that. Did I Google that? Okay, you see it's like a purple. Also, it's not blue. It's blue, it makes, obviously means like sadness and depression, but like the purple kind of brings something to it. I like indigo as a, as a metaphor, I guess, to it. I'll be pulling into the parking lot before the heat kicks in. Obviously, if you have a car, you know it takes fucking forever for the fucking heat to kick on. It'll be like fucking 20 degrees, and you'll be sitting in the car like this, and you'll be wearing this fucking big ass fucking jacket, and you're sweating, and I hate it. So yeah, I don't still know what that means, and obviously it's the same. I want love in sunny days, but I'm a bit too old to run away. To me, that's like he's craving for a warmer environment, somewhere that's not like depressed and gloomy. But he's from Ohio. He's been in Ohio for his entire life that he doesn't really know anywhere else, and he doesn't really want to navigate a new area that could be, obviously anxiety as well. So that's Midwest indigo. There's more I can go into it, but I don't want to disrespect the true Midwesterners. I'm a fraud Midwesterner. I only go there for school. So Routines in the Night is the 5th song. It's one of my favorites. I actually added it to my main playlist because I loved it so much. To me, it's about, he wrote multiple songs about this feeling of when it's late at night and right before you go to bed, you think about everything that you've ever done and every emotion that you've ever felt now late in the night. Like around 2 a.m. or whenever. For me, it's like 2 to 4 a.m. And it's like 2:30 right now, so hey, who knows after this? You think about everything that went wrong and how you hate your life and how you think you'd just be better off dead. It's that moment of weakness late in the night, and kind of the process of that, if that makes sense. So, we go into it. Walk the layout, routine into the night. Some doors have stay out, spray painted away. While all the world's asleep, I rock around instead. Through the memories, down the walls, or the halls of my head. So, obviously, I say obviously, but this means like, it's kind of like navigating that maze of memories inside your head. The stay out to me, represents memories or thoughts, especially like suicidal thoughts, that you just cannot go into because you will just be a wreck. So in his first album, no pun intended or no fun intended, however you want to pronounce it, he talks a lot about how late at night he gets into a habit of thinking about suicide and depression and everything that goes wrong. So I think that's how I interpreted that. Stay out. You just do not even want to think about going in there. Or it could be like a stupid, embarrassing memory that you don't want to relive because you're embarrassed. But this is depression. The song's about depression, so I'm gonna take it as that. While all the world's asleep, I walk around instead. Obviously, it's about staying up late. Everyone's asleep, and you're just sitting there in your bed thinking about what could have been and how life sucks. To the memories, then also it's basically just like putting a visual to the mind and your memories and such, and it just repeats. Here comes a new night, but I'll send it through. I'll probably jump on the next one. I'm testing the limits of what a mind can do. I'm keeping my eyelids up no matter what. To me, that's basically about fighting every night and not wanting to go to bed or get tired, because then you start to become more vulnerable. And obviously there's a scientific explanation that when you become more tired, you become more vulnerable, and that's why a lot of like late night love confessions happen. It's because you feel your guard going down. And I'm testing the limits of what a mind can do. That's like you are thinking so much about everything that's going wrong, depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, that your mind should be crumbling, it should be going insane. So he's testing his mind to see how much his mind could put up with this. I'm keeping my eyelids up. I'm not going to bed. I'm just simply not going to bed because you don't want to be, lean back, eyes shut, then suicide. you know. So beautiful. The space between a painful reminder and a terrible dream. I've been here before and I've got time. I'll give you the tour. So I think like it's about how you interpret your past and events that make you kind of like depressed, I guess. A painful reminder. So the past can be a painful reminder, like how it was, especially if you think, for example, let's say you're 20, I'm 20, and you're thinking about your 13-year-old self, where you hated your life in a hypothetical scenario. You think, wow, I was 13. Why did I feel like that? I should have been, I don't know, playing outside. And then like a terrible dream, like a terrible reminder. You feel like it is a dream because it's just so horrifying to you that you felt that way at that time. I've been here before. Obviously, that's the repeated cycle of every night before you go to bed. You think about everything that went wrong. I'll give you the door. To me, giving the door is like when you're having a vulnerable moment with someone. For him, I'm assuming it's about like a romantic thing where you start to open up to a partner or a friend or whatever about your experiences, and you are walking with them and navigating through your memories and such. The chorus. The chorus is the chorus, Recurring, keeps getting around, run, cycle, sip, night, cycle, trip. It's reassuring. You keep going around, it's hard to find good company. Recurring, days blurring, I'm still learning what this is, just keep me company. So to me, this is like recurring every night happens, and you skip your REM cycle, because you're just refusing to go to bed. So I think Tyler has talked about how he used to be an insomniac, or he was an insomniac. And just sleep was just so hard for him. Night psycho trip, to me, that's like, obviously when you're sleep deprived for so long, you go crazy because your mind can't handle it. It needs to rest. It's reassuring, you keep coming around. That's obviously about a friend or a partner who's being there with you at those moments, especially if you're sleeping next to them and you can feel safe next to them. So, reoccurring, days blurring every night, but you don't know what day it is because you have been awake for hours, for days, and you just, you're confused. I'm still learning what this is. To me, that's like, you don't know what to do to sleep, or it's, you don't know how to deal with a friend or a lover being with you when you're in those vulnerable moments at night. And obviously it's in the pre-chorus about, your reminders and such. it's obviously when you are thinking so much at night and you just can't stop, basically. I don't know, this song really hits because I do remember being 13 at the time and just laying back in my bed and thinking about life if I wasn't around, life if I stayed around, like every different decision that I could have made that day. It's, I don't know, if you have anxiety and depression, it's, you're rethinking everything. It can get really emotional, especially when you're in those vulnerable moments of, should I even stick around anymore? It's definitely kind of one of those songs. So yeah, on to the next one. Okay, so the sixth song on Clancy is Vignette. Tyler said himself, this song is about addiction and how addiction feels to a person or his interpretation of it. So trigger warning, obviously, again. I really like it because I struggled with addiction, self-harm addiction, and people say it's not an addiction, but it is because it's so hard to fight. And so this kind of resonates to me. Every song resonates to me a little bit. So yeah. So this verse, I go straight into the verse. I guess like this is kind of like, how do I explain this into words? It's kind of like the night of an addict when you're kind of like realizing what that addict did, I guess. So like, not sure when it started peeling from his bones, like you're not sure how long the addiction has gone on, how bad it got. Held it together long enough. You, I guess like either the addict or the person kind of push through with the idea of hope and that it'll get better. Fresh off a bench in the woods. To me, that's like that form of isolation that you have when you're an addict, where you don't want help from anybody, you don't want to be seen from anybody. And a binger is obviously indulging in the stuff that you are addicted to. Testing what is real, what is good. Man, it's been a long night. For me, that's like, you are obviously like testing what is real, what is good. You are navigating through your addiction and what works best, what doesn't work best. And man, it's been a long night. It's like you are up all night indulging in this stuff and this substance or whatever it is, and you're just so like exhausted from it. It's kind of like that come down, if that makes sense. It's a tribute to zombies, of which I become, obviously, when it's most likely drugs. People would describe that as like zombie-like, depending on the drug. And it's like, this addict is admitting that they become a zombie because of the substance or whatever they're doing. That is making them just kind of numb and nothing, I guess. And where do I go from here? It's like, what more do I do? How can I get help? How can I keep forward? It could be, where do I go from here? Where you can go anywhere, in all different directions of life. Clinging to promises, fighting off the vignette, tunnels, cave, vision, fee. So all about vignette. So if you don't know what a vignette is, I have to put my glasses on, or not again. A brief about a description, account, or an episode. So it's like I would call it like a phase of life, I guess. Clinging to promises, to me that's like, I promise I won't do it again. I promise, like, this is not the last time. I promise never again. Those kind of promises. Fighting off the vignette, fighting off the urge or the time period in which you kind of reminisce when you add those substances to blur life, I guess. Tunnels, cave, visions fade. So tunnels and visions are your tunnels. To me, that's like your support system. You've been able to navigate life without a substance. Visions fade. Your vision of hope, I guess. And so by the vignette, you succumb to your addiction. It's a relapse again, basically. He's thinking there's no way I'm heading there. Always sure-footed, educated. He was never scared. Now he couldn't hold out his hand without it shaking. To me, that's like, think about it. So you have like, I could explain that academics, obviously educated. You have like, let's say, valedictorian of high school. issues. You know that like they're very like, obviously in my family we call them tweakers. It's not funny, but that's what we call them because their bodies either going with withdrawals or their body can't handle the substances that they've taken. So what? I just accidentally clicked. So um, so yeah, it's kind of like hounded by a bunch of dead when the search party found him. To me, that's like when you become an addict, you have friends that are addicts. You're surrounded by them because you just enable each other. To me, the search party is like friends and family who try to intervene. Basically, the dead is the zombies who are already, they're gone from drugs. They attribute to zombies. He's dead. The zombie's a dead thing. The drugs have taken him, or any substance, whatever it is. I just keep saying drugs because it's kind of easier to put out there. Obviously, I just explained this. No, not means for a friend. I feel like that's every excuse. You're like, oh no, the pills aren't for me. They're for my friend. He has like a broken leg or whatever. Or that wasn't me. It was a friend. My friend told me to do it. It's you are making those excuses so they believe that you've changed or you're better. Or that's how you don't do those things. Denial. Obviously, denial is a friendy. I think the reason why you put friend and denial together is because when you've denied things so much, you become accustomed to that feeling of that saying. So y'all are so close that you're saying you're friends. Like denial is your friend because you're doing it over and over again. If that makes sense. And so it's the same thing. Denial, friend. So it's about addiction. I guess like this. Obviously, if you have a family member or a friend that struggles with drug addiction, this kind of makes sense. But for my addiction with self-harm, it was like a little like, it's hard to, I guess, connect to these words. Obviously, denial. I never denied myself and what I was doing. I knew what I was doing. But regardless, it just helps you put your thoughts into words, basically, or that feeling of addiction. It's good. I like it. Okay, so track 7, the Gravy Jenna version. It's a song Tyler Joseph wrote about Jenna, his wife, kind of on the album. He tries to have an album, a track of his wife, or about his wife on every album. To me, this is about his uncertainty in love and how to struggle with his burdens or mental health. And I say burdens because he thinks they're burdens. He kind of had to navigate it. I don't want to go into this one because it's really personal for him, and I don't want to put my interpretations on a song like this. So the intro is Jenna talking. It's really cute and sweet. She's like whisper crying, I think. So it seems like I get in my way. The more I think, the less I say. Obviously, it's about, he's creating his own problems. It's kind of from a self-sabotage. He's overthinking, so therefore he doesn't want to talk because he's overthinking about every issue that could go wrong. And he hopes that Jenna understands kind of what he wants to say to her, basically. Now I see intentions don't mean much, obviously, like your words and your actions, basically. Say enough. Did I let her know? If I found my body in chains, I'd lay down and wait and hope she looks for me. So to me, this is like, he's asking, like, did I convey my love to her, basically, to her? Do I tell her that I loved her as much as I could, that she knows that I appreciate her? And if I found myself in a struggle, I hope that Jenna, will, she'll look for me, she will help me and assist me and pull me out of that space that I'm in, basically. This is kind of, to me, this is like, Jenna is so free-spirited and she kind of lives life by the day, and Taylor hopes that he can kind of stay like that and personal to him, and I respect that. Lavish is her 8th record on Clancy, and I interpret it, I'm shaking my legs so bad, I interpret it as like a dig onto these superstars that like live all these crazy rich fancy lives and stuff like that, and it's kind of like being, to me, it's like making fun of them basically. It's like a joke song. Welcome to the new way of living. It's just the beginning of Lavish, so it's like when you start getting the money coming in, you're like, oh, I can buy this and I can buy that and I can afford this basically. So that's obviously kind of, it's like the same thing of everything. You have like a new style, a new life. You have all this new money coming in, so you're not used to it. So it's lavish. So this first verse to me is like when you first start getting money and you're trying to fit in with the others, and you want to be at the front of everything. You want that, maybe like the nicest yacht, the nicest price. You want to be, you want to walk in the restaurant and you're like, I want that table, and they're like, yes sir, you know, kind of stuff like that. Smelling like worth to me is like you're buying money on high-end products, makeup, perfumes, and such because you have the money now. Thought I just saw a bug. I guess like this part is kind of like, this to me, this is like imposter. Like you are acting so fake, and like to put on a show is like obviously the mask. Like this person just got money, so they're acting super rich, and so they're tired of like walking and like pretending to be someone else, basically. Lavish, obviously, the same as the beginning. Welcome to a style you haven't seen. You're not used to this act of lavish. You're not used to all this money coming in, basically. So this is the verse that everyone in the fandom, the clique, kind of jokes around because it's like, what the fuck did you say? Like, what is the fuck does this mean? Got that penny lover squeak. What the fuck? A feather just flew in the air. How the fuck did that feather start floating? Fuck that. Anyways, got that penny lover squeak across Napoleon, big flex complex Napoleon. I say whatever, I sip a cup. You know, I don't know. This is kind of like another dig at the people who spend all this money and act all fancy, and you know, they're entitled and everything. To me, he's like putting on that facade of rich, entitled guy, and he's making fun of everything that they do. But he's obviously joking because the Capri Sun, like, it's Dom Perignon, it's expensive alcohol, and the Capri Sun is like showing his super roots. Like he tries not to be that rich, entitled asshole. Room on the table, everyone. He tries to do fair wages. I don't know. I feel like I'm pointing out the obvious. It's this part right here. So this part is, people have interpreted as like the music industry fucking people over, or rich people fucking people over. So take it as you will. I'm not gonna go too into that. It's lavish, obviously lavish. So that's basically the song very quick. Because it's like a joke song. You know, if you listen to it and then you saw the music video, you're like, what the fuck is this? It's not the normal sound. He did say he wrote this song so he wouldn't be boxed into a genre or a type of music. So take it as you will. Okay, so Navigate is the 9th track on the Clancy album. To me, this song is kind of like routines in the night where you're trying to figure out the thoughts in your head and why you feel the way you do, and kind of being pulled away from that moment and then being pulled into that moment, and it's everything about your head and why basically the why and the how and everything. So I can't seem to turn the page. This haze around my face, it makes me feel all alone. I know you see me standing still, but when our fingers touch, I feel my way back home. So, to me, if you ever like dissociated or been depressed for a long time, it feels like there's like a cloud around you or a force field of like nothingness. I'm like laughing because it's stupid, but it's true. So can't seem to turn the page. It's like trying to move on, disassociate. I'm navigating my head. Give me some advice. I am wasting all this time. My oh my, don't know how long it's been. So, to me, this is like part of my delay. Part of my delay in responses. Part of my delay in being present in the moment. Being myself, basically. I'm navigating my head. It's like I'm trying to figure out why I feel the way I do. What started to make me feel this way? I'm dissociated. I'm depressed. Disassociate. You're kind of like zone out, basically. I'm navigating my head. I'm trying to figure out. Give me some advice. How do I fix this? How do I help this? Just sometimes give me some advice, like a desperate stance of like, what can I do to fix this? Basically, I am wasting all this time. To me, it's like, if you ever struggle with depression, you kind of look back in those moments of when you were so depressed and you feel like you were wasting time because most likely you were in your bed rotting or you weren't doing anything because you had no energy to do anything. So you feel like you're wasting all your time in life by just being depressed, basically. So I take this stone low, how long it's been, as like you're dissociated for so long, you're depressed for so long, you're in your head that you don't know what day it's been, you don't know the last time you've kind of like been in person, if that makes sense. So, Snapback is the 10th album, the 10th track on Clancy, the album. It's like backslide and like vignette of like all their old, it's about going, like recovering from a relapse or the fear of a relapse, basically. And the trauma that comes in a relapse or basically anything. This song, I will say, huge trigger warning, so be careful. Obviously, proceeding if suicide's a hard talk for you. It starts very strong. Got a bad feeling that I'm about to break. Been a good streak, but the pressure's overweight. Is it even good for my head to keep track? If I'm gonna snap next, then I gotta snap back. To me, that's like, it's that fear of having a breakdown. It's that fear of repeating into a cycle of. So, like for me, when I get depressed, I can kind of feel it coming. Obviously, you have like repeated behaviors or you have repeated thoughts that kind of hint at this. So, been a good streak is like kind of, you think of manic depression or when you're manic, you have your low lows and your high highs. So, been a good streak is you had some good days, some good memories, but your body eventually just, your mind goes back to that cycle. Is it even good for my head to keep track? To me, that's like, I guess like the anger of like, oh my god, like I was depressed last month, I was depressed last week, like, and you're counting all the times that you relapsed or you got in a cycle and you get mad or angry and you're like, is it even good for me to count how many times I freaked out? Because then you get, I guess, you get angry at yourself. If I'm gonna snap next, then I gotta snap back. So for me, this is like, if I'm going to push forward and conquer on it, if I'm going to be the leader, then I gotta get into myself and I gotta go back to my normal self, if that makes sense. Got a bad feeling I'm gonna lose the lead. Running from a thing that I kicked to 17 is even right for my head to keep track. So obviously this is about going back into your cycle, losing the lead. I take that as like, maybe you had a full year of good behavior, good attitude, like you weren't depressed, and then that's the longest you've ever not been depressed, and you don't want to lose that winning streak, basically. Running from a thing that I kicked in 17. So I originally thought the lyrics were at 17 because that would make sense, because a lot of Tyler's first album was written when he was like 17, 16, I think. So it's like that stage of depression, you thought you left your depression and your suicidal thoughts the way he sings it is like defeat, basically. So it's like, it's just very slow. And then it's the same thing again, about not wanting to relapse and going back to how it was. The first two, oh, it's you. Well, welcome back to the show. Been a minute. Guess I move on to a better. I guess I better move to a fresher approach. Thought I kicked it. It's a new adaptation. So, in the music video, Tyler is sitting down, has a mirror, and he's like talking to his reflection in the mirror. So, to me, this is like, so it's you. Welcome back to the show. Is like your current self talking, and been a minute is like your past self with like suicide and depression. So he's saying, oh, welcome back to my life. Been a minute. It's like, oh my god, it's been a while since. It's like the suicide or depression talking, like having, it's been a minute since you've seen me. It's been a minute since you felt like this. And so like, I guess I better move to a fresher approach. Thought I kicked it. I kind of like ease, or a person has, I guess they've done so many things to try and fix it or deal with it, and so now he's thinking I have to do something more modern for my time, or I guess more fresh for me in this moment right now. And then thought I kicked it, obviously like I thought I overcame it. I thought it's been long gone and it would never return. And by that I mean like I think that as like suicidal thoughts, or it's a new adaptation. So for me that can mean like anxiety. In a way, you had anxiety about one thing. So let's say it's academics, and now you're an adult, it's finances, It comes in a different way. Your demons, basically. I think if you're older now and you look back on your past, you can see your depression and your anxiety mold to your new life, basically, and how you're handling it. It's a backslide. I hate the surprise. And now that it's gone, all of that progress lost today. So, the surprise, the dread of a relapse, a cycle coming again. I hate the surprise. I hate that. Okay, when depression comes, especially if you're manic, you're like, so like I dealt with this when I was younger. I never took my pills, or when I did, I'd be like, my depression's gone. I don't need my pills. And then you're surprised when your cycle, like your depression cycle comes again. So I take that as like, I hate the surprise that it gives me every single time that this cycle of depression or suicidal thoughts gets to me. And then now it's all that gone, all of that progress. So like, the thought of fighting, the thought of pushing through, whether it be like an addiction progress or, your relapse, basically. I have seemed to run out of excuses of why I am this way. I think this is when you cannot find your why on maybe like you're depressed at 13 and now you're 30 and you're like, why am I still depressed? I've gone to therapy, I've done the medication, like what is wrong with me? And it's anger and it's disgust and it's sadness, you can't figure out stuff about yourself. And then it's obviously like the same chorus again. And then I've been praying for my elasticity to return to the way that it was. I take this as like, for him, he's getting older, or when he was younger, I guess there were a lot of distractions to help him kind of bounce back to his like normal self. And now that he's like getting older and able to like identify stuff about himself, it's harder to go back to the past, basically, or bounce back, I guess is the way. So like, I guess like it's kind of like, for me, when I was 13, I prayed for my elasticity. You're kind of naive, I guess, and like you're like, oh, it'll last for a little bit, and then you kind of pray for that innocence, I guess. So yeah, I love this song. It definitely is on like my cry list because I felt like it was written for me because I call it self-sabotage behavior, but I know it's not my fault. I go into cycles of depression and anxiety, and it's so hard to deal with. And yeah, I have the medication, but I hate medication. saboteurs and does things over and over again. I don't know, I'm not gonna go into it, but yeah, this song really speaks to me. I love it. It's one of my favorites. So yeah. Okay, so Oldie Stations as the 11th track on Clancy. Now Tyler says when he performed this live, he said he wrote it for his fans. So like he says the Gravine is about his wife, Oldie Station is about us as fans, and I think it's about, he knows that a lot of us kind of grew with the band, basically, like we started when you were young and now we're getting older, and it's navigating our life and, you know, being more mature, being more wise, and being able to navigate anxieties, basically. Only consistency in your periphery is fear, and the bridge of your nose. As you move on about, you learn to tune them out, but they say continue to grow. To me, this is like you trying to expand your mind and figure out why you think the way you do, and kind of the future, basically. And all you can see is fear of the future, and like obviously the bridge of your nose, that's like a literal sense of your peripheral vision, basically. Your fear is obviously fear of the future, fear of the unknown. And as you move about, you learn to tune them out. To me, that's like other adults in your life telling you how to live your life and things that you're doing wrong and mistakes, or it could be like your anxiety, basically. So fear of the past and relative pain. Future's coming fast. You got nothing in the tank. In a season of purging things you used to love, everything must go. So to me, it's like the fear of the past is like looking back in the past and why you felt the way you did, and how things kind of were, I guess. And like the future's coming fast, it's like that thing of growing up. So I think a lot of people describe it as like your freshman year of college, and then you graduate, then boom, you gotta get a job, you gotta find a place to live, you gotta settle down, you gotta get a family, basically. But you're so drained, you're so tired, you're like, how the fuck do I have the energy to do this? And then in the season of purging things you used to love, so I take this like two ways. So I take this as like you are growing older, you need to get rid of your hobbies. Like, you know, adults are like, you're 20, why are you watching TV shows? Get a fucking job. Or like you're 24, you need to have a 9 to 5 and get married. So I take that two ways of like, you're becoming an adult now, so you need to learn to be more mature, so you're getting rid of like your hobbies and the things that you love. Or I take it as another way of you're so depressed, like seasonal depression, so you're isolating yourself from your family, your friends, your loved ones, like your partner or whatever. So it's like, and I only say that because of the word season. I think of winter depression because winter depression is very common theme in Tyler's songs. So I like this chorus because I'll explain later, but make an oath, then make mistakes. Start a streak you're bound to break. When darkness rolls on you, push on through. So it's kind of like the point of life is to live and learn, basically. So this is like making a promise and then make mistakes. It's like you breaking that promise, but that's a part of life. Basically, you can't like commit to your word for everything. And then start a streak you're bound to break. I think that as like when you or like let's say like you're 30, you're 20, you're in your late 20s, and you need a budget, and you break that budget, or you need to like kind of purge an addiction, and you break it into relapse, basically. But it's a part of life, you know. And when that darkness rolls on you, which is like that fear of failure, and you know you feel like you're doomed, push on through. Like that's life, you know. You just gotta learn to handle it and realize that like it happens to everybody. You're not the only one who's failed at life or in adulthood or stuff like that. Oops. But yeah, it's very impactful, that chorus. So then before you know, you lose some people close, forcing you to manage your pace. Found your capacity for love and tragedy, embracing how things always change. So if you're like a young adult, this kind of makes sense because you realize like your friends from college or high school, as you get older, it is impossible to hang out and make plans because everyone's so busy. So you need to figure out how to live your life without these people every day, 24/7. Or maybe it's even about death. Now that you're getting older, maybe friends die, parents die, grandparents die. So you need to figure out how to manage it. And like, so that's why love and tragedy, I think like relationships once that work out, once that done, and then tragedy like death, basically. And then instead of fighting that change and sitting there and, in self-pity, you realize that's life and that's how things go, and you need to embrace that change and everything. Which I think a lot of people, especially myself, we really struggle with because we hate change. Because change means, something different and uncertainties. But he's trying to tell us that, like, it's inevitable, basically. So, and then this is about when you're older and more wise. You've had your turns with pain. You're a little less concerned when there's something in the tank. So, that first, like, pre-chorus, is like before you start adulthood, I guess, and you're so worried about everything. But when you come here, and it's like you've had these experiences, you know how it feels. When you're exhausted, you know you can push on through, basically. And then in a seasons of lessons and learning giving up, you learn what you can again. It's learning boundaries, learn to say no, learning standing up for yourself, learning mental health days, basically. So you've learned how to establish that control. So add some years, build some trust, start to feel your eyes adjust. When darkness rolls on you, push on through. So I take that as like, as you get older, obviously I say it again that you're getting wiser. You feel your eyes adjusting to the time and how your body and your mind takes and what's the word I'm looking for? How it reacts to certain events. And obviously when darkness rolls on you, you push on through, you keep fighting, because that's the main theme in this song. Is like it gets better kind of as you get older. And I like this part because it's like you don't quite mind how long red lights are taking, because you are in the moment. You're stopping to smell the roses. Basically, you're not so worried about the future and uncertainty. I'm just like, I'm content with where I'm at, basically. And then your favorite song was on the Oldie Station. Obviously, it's about growing up, and for me, it's like a Katy Perry song. It's like throwback station. You're like, wait, what the fuck? Or even like Fetty Wap is on a throwback station right now. I'm like, what the fuck? That was a couple years ago. What the fuck is Fetty Wap on the throwback station? That doesn't make sense. But it's like that feeling where you're like, damn, I'm getting old. Obviously, push on through. I like this part. Like, this part actually like makes me cry. I'm gonna get like emotional. You have it down. That old fight for survival. Push on through. You're in the crowd. Our first time suicidal. Push on through. Like, my eyes are getting misty. I always cry when this part comes on, because it's like you have it down. That old fight for survival. So like, if you ever needed to fight and or to keep pushing, or just to push your body through limits, you have it down. You know how it is. But push on through. Keep fighting. It's kind of like, think about it. Like, I'm like getting emotional when you're like 30, let's say, and you have a family, and you're married and you have a stable job, but then you look back at 13, or like when you were a teenager, whenever you had a bad episode or a bad time period in your life, and you really had to fight every day just to live and be yourself, and so you have that still in your body somewhere, and then like you're in the crowd at our first dance recital, I think. So that's kind of a reference to himself, because his daughter just had her first dance recital and he was there. He stayed alive and kept fighting to be at that moment for his family, his future family that he knew he didn't even think he was gonna have. But he was there and he had that moment, and he just was like, wow. I kept going, I kept fighting, and so like, I guess because I'm still young, that's kind of a moment that I can't wait to have, basically, where I'm like in my 30s or my 40s, and I'm at my kid's graduation or whatever, and I'm like, damn, I kept fighting, I kept pushing. If I go on, I'm gonna keep crying, but obviously it's like the same thing of making mistakes and learning from them, and it's a part of life, basically. So yeah, this song is like really emotional. It really does make me, I used to not like it, but when I kept listening to it, I was like, fuck, this song is so deep and it's so emotional, and it's a spot that I can't even begin to explain. So track 12 is At the Risk of Feeling Dumb. This song is about being there for your friends friends when they're going through something, and no matter how awkward it is to keep fighting, basically. So the score is I don't want anyone, know me or not, to see me at my lowest. You don't have to drop high. Nothing you can do this time. So this is in the eyes or in the words of the one that's going through something bad or something negative. It's like, I don't care if you know me or like you're a counselor who doesn't know me or you're a random person. I don't want you to see me at my lowest, and I don't want you to see me basically be depressed or be a burden. I don't want you to drop your plans. I don't want you to be a burden in your schedule to come see me. There's nothing that you could do or you can say to fix me, basically. So it's like, see me at my lowest. You don't have to drop. Like, it's like, even if you see me struggling, I don't want you to mention it. I don't want you to visit me. I don't want to be a burden to your plans. So like, just keep your plans. I hope that you never have to drop anything on me. It's that feeling of burden. You don't want to be a burden to your friends or to loved ones. So I think this is like, I take this as like a memory from both sides of like a friendship or whatever. They're both saying to each other like, we used to be out hanging around, we used to be do something, and we used to match each other's energy, and we used to. I mean, like, this part is really interesting. So like, you are, I guess, like, you and this friend, either whoever's speaking, you guys used to be out all the time. You used to go do something crazy. But one friend is struggling so hard with mental health that you are like, you forget that at any moment things can go wrong, basically. And then he says, so please keep in mind to check on your friends every once in a while. So it's like, obviously check on your friends. Make sure, say, hey, how are you? How you feeling? Do you want to hang out? Do you want to go do something? Just knowing that you're there for them, basically. And it's like, even if they say they don't want anyone to be around while they're struggling, they don't want to be a burden, you should check on them regardless. Like, you ignore what they're saying because they want to be alone. But it's better, no matter, even if they like say no, to be there for them, to know that you're there, basically. My nose is really itchy. And then, at the risk of feeling dumb, check in. It's not the risk of losing a friend, even if they say, just keep your plans. I hope that you never have to drop. So it's like, even if you feel stupid for being like, hey, is everything okay? Are you doing good? It's better to do that than that friend like killing themselves because no one checked in because they felt alone. Not saying that it's your fault or anything, but it's like, it's a lot better than kind of praying that it goes away. And so like, even if they say, don't come near, I don't want anyone to know, just do it anyways. It's good to know that they're there, you're there for them, basically. And then this second verse is like, if I'm being real, man, don't know how I feel, man, about you sleeping so close to a weapon you can steal, man. And so this is kind of a reference from like Guns for Hands, or when he talks about how easy it is for kids to commit suicide nowadays, and like how easy it is for them to think about that. And so he's like, I'm concerned for this friend because you sleep so close yourself to this weapon, yourself, your brain, you killing yourself, basically. He's like, I'm unsure about how to deal with this. I'm sure about you, basically. And then, those night terrors are not something to take lightly. I know that's a risk in saying this. Don't fight me. Like, I know for me, I take night terrors as like kind of that last song routines of the night, where it's like every night you go to bed and you think about everything that went wrong and you want to die at night and stuff like that. Like that feeling of dread. And then like, I know there's a risk in saying this, so don't fight me. So if you ever dealt with a suicidal person, they hate it when you acknowledge that you can tell something's wrong because they don't want to be a burden. They just want to be left alone. And so it's like, even if they are like being like, no, go away, like keep pushing on because obviously something can happen. And like, I know there's a risk in saying this. I know you're gonna say no. I know you're gonna die. I know you're gonna get mad. I mean, most likely they get mad. So it's, it's like he knows the consequences, but the reward's better than the risk, basically. And then my nose is so itchy. And it's the same thing, you know, this person doesn't want to be a burden to anybody, but, you know, like, just doesn't even want to deal with it. And then it's the same thing of, like, check in regardless, because you never know what could happen, basically. And then it's, like, release the same thing. I like this song because I think it shows the importance of a simple, hey, how are you? Hey, like, how's it going? Or, hey, do you want to hang out? Because you never know how someone is, even if they're having a really good day or a good week, or they're not even showing signs of, like, depression. It's good to check in because you never know what they're dealing on the inside. So, yeah, I love that song. So, the very last song on Clancy is called Ballad Injury. I am gonna say something controversial. This song is not my favorite, and like when I mean, I don't really always listen to it in its entirety. Basically, I'm kind of like, oh, you know, because it has like a long intro and a long like middle part where it's like just nothing, kind of like this part right here is long. So I don't know the full interpretation of it basically. But I'm just gonna gotta read the lyrics and interpret it. So I'm taking this as like this Tyler or this person is telling another person, maybe like a friend or a loved one, that like, by the way, I can't be alone because I'm a danger to myself. I get in my head, I dissociate, I struggle with depression, and being alone is like the worst thing for me. But I am trying to kind of make my way to you and be vulnerable with you and kind of see you as my home and my safe space, basically. And I kind of, again, I reference a relapse in a cycle because Tyler talks about relapses and cycles a lot in his music, especially his older music. And so, like, tracing out a line, I mapped 1,000 times to me, that's like going from depression and then to a safe person, depression, a safe person, into that cycle going back and forth. Or even, like, not to a person or a feeling, you know, it's like a cycle of, like, happiness, depression, kind of that back and forth. To me, this is about like fighting for even the thought of being with this person or this feeling, kind of like hope, basically. So this Tyler or this person would just swim and keep fighting just for the like the idea of being able to see this person or feel this feeling on the other side, and hoping that they can make it and just keep fighting. I think again, I haven't really listened to this song all the way multiple times, so I take this verse. So standing on a shore, staring down our hurtling storm, making its way towards me. Water rips with rage, and this row of angry waves making its way towards me. So there's his old album, self-titled, and Vessel, kind of. It's like in those two albums, I think, where he thinks of his. It's like a. What is it? I think it's. Well, it's fuck. Hold on. I'm trying to think of the song. It's in Vessel. Suicidal creates lions. I'm trying to. Blood running down their chin. And then it's like suicidal date. Fuck. It's a song in Vessel. Hold on. I have to look it up. Okay, I found the song. It's Migraine. It's on Vessel. It's farther down here. Where is it at? My mind shipwrecked. This is the only land my mind could find. I did not know it was such a violent island. Bullet, tidal waves, suicidal great lions. This is about like his mind. He's on an island in his mind that is just so violent, and that's mostly about suicidal thoughts. And he didn't know that he could ever think like this. So I think that as a reference to staring down a hurling storm, water rips with rage, angry waves. He's staring down a cycle, a feeling of suicide or depression, and he's staring it down. He knows it's coming. So I kind of put that connection together. I don't know why I did, but I did. And obviously, the chorus, swimming the paladin straight without any flotation, just a glimpse of visual aid of you on the other shoreline. He's fighting so hard just for the thought of the feeling of seeing someone to that feeling of hope and to keep fighting, basically. So I think like the bridge is interesting. So here's my jams. Time to take it. Can't be sure that I'll make it. even though I'm past the point of no return. I'm all in, I'm surrounded. So I think this is like, he sees one last glimpse, one last hope, feeling of hope basically, but he doesn't know if he's going to be able to push through because he feels like he's past the point of no return. Like he feels like he's so far gone, either in depression or a feeling or like anxiety that like he kind of feels like there's no help and there's no coming back for him basically. I'm all in, I'm surrounded, but my money where my mouth is. Even though I'm past the point of no return, here's my chance, time to take it, and then it repeats basically. Again, I take this as like he can't, he feels like he literally cannot move forward in his life because he's stuck in this storm and this cloud on this island of depression and this cycle, this horrible cycle of manic and going ups and down basically. And then it's the same chorus again about swimming and fighting. And then this part is like lore related, so I'm not really gonna go into it. So okay, so that is kind of like my run through or like my review or you know whatever, my opinion, I guess, my interpretation, I guess is the word, of Clancy, the 21 Pilots album. If you agree, you agree. If you don't, you know, I think that's the great thing about his songs is that you can interpret it any way that you want to. Sorry if this made you depressed, because it kind of made me depressed. So, and if you're struggling, you know that there's help out there, and you know, that life is worth pushing through. There's always going to be a better feeling in the end. Hope is there, and I think you can see in a lot of these songs, hope is the main message, and pushing through and fighting for like that feeling of hope, basically. So, just know that it's worth it. I might review another album. I think I'm gonna do self-titled. I only did Clancy because it just released, so it's kind of more stuck in my brain, like recency, I guess. So, if you enjoyed